Have you heard that in the United Kingdom they've developed an implant that helps cure epilepsy, or that the first flying cars now exist? All these amazing technologies were once described by science fiction writers. In this video, we'll dive into the world of science fiction that has become a reality in our time. Enjoy the show. Holograms. There are many different works, including movies and video games, where holograms are used. For example, in the movie Iron Man 2, the main character Tony Stark tries to create a new element that didn't previously exist. He used a hologram of an area built according to his father's design. This allowed him to unravel the mystery to create the new element. But this isn't the only movie where this technology is used. In the movie Transformers, extraterrestrial robots were able to demonstrate historical events that occurred on their planet, and the first mentions of this technology appeared decades ago, for instance in the 1977 film Star Wars. In our time, holograms are widely used in medicine. They allow training of personnel and visually demonstrate various organs. Holograms are also used at different events, such as concerts of deceased artists. In general, holograms began to be developed in the last century. The first devices for creating laser projections of anything appeared in the 1980s. The technology continues to evolve, constantly improving the quality of the images that lasers can transmit. Perhaps in the future we will even be able to communicate using them, or show historical events as if we are participating in them. Medical robots. By the way, in the same movie Iron Man, there were robots that helped the main character heal wounds and also diagnose the overall health condition of the hero. For example, in the movie Aliens from 1986, a peculiar exoskeleton loader was shown, allowing a person to carry enormous weights. And the first mentions of mechanical assistants date back about 100 years ago. In 1920, Czech writer Karel Čapek in his play RUR first mentioned mechanisms he called robots. Today, medicine keeps pace with the times. For example, special robots are now used in operating rooms. They allow surgeons to perform the most complex operations with very high precision while minimally affecting the patient's tissues. And in rehabilitation centers where people who have suffered serious injuries are treated, there are their own robots. They are often represented as special exoskeletons that help patients recover motor activity. In general, the use of this technology is very extensive nowadays. Perhaps in the future there will be special robots that can independently perform operations without human intervention. Or maybe humans won't be needed at all, as artificial intelligence will be able to diagnose and analyze the patient's health. Speaking of which, let's talk more about the next. Artificial intelligence. In the science fiction novel Ender's Game, which was published in 1985 and later adapted into a film, the main character is trained in a special combat school located in space. There, artificial intelligence was used to train students to participate in combat actions and to simulate tactical battles. There are many other films and works where AI is mentioned. The first mention of AI is considered to be Samuel Butler's novel Erewhon, published in 1872. Another interesting story about artificial intelligence is told in the game Detroit Become Human, where human-like robots, due to a programming glitch, acquire their own will, although they are supposed to unquestioningly obey humans. In our world, people widely use AI to solve a variety of tasks. For example, in 2022, the project ChatGPT made headlines. It is an artificial intelligence capable of generating vast amounts of information, even programming code. Everything happens in the form of communication with the user in a special chat, where the neural network, as self-learning programs are called, interacts with the human. There are other neural networks such as Midjourney, which can generate a wide variety of images at a person's request, simply by describing what might be on them. AI also helps us in other aspects. In medicine, some programs can indicate possible diagnosis of patients by analyzing their data. By the way, there is AI in your smartphone too. This program allows you to create realistic background blur in photos. In general, neural networks and other smart programs have found application in almost all areas. However, there is an opinion that using artificial intelligence is dangerous because it might gain consciousness and destroy humanity. Right now, there's no need to fear this, as programs have not yet learned to overcome the limitations set for them. But in the future, humanity should definitely think about this. VR helmets. The next invention was highly anticipated by gaming enthusiasts. Virtual reality has long attracted immense interest from people. The first ideas for creating cyberspace appeared in 1933 in a series of stories by Lawrence Manning titled The Man Who Awoke, and fans of Japanese animation who watched the series Sword Art Online simply dreamed of being in another reality. In the case of the anime, the main characters immerse themselves in the gaming universe using special helmets. After this, millions of game and movie fans wanted a helmet that would allow them to be inside their favorite game or movie. Unfortunately, in our time, science has not yet reached the level of technology with full immersion, but there is a very interesting solution that everyone with a computer or gaming console can buy. These are VR glasses. They project an ordinary picture from a game or movie onto a special screen, but everything feels as if you are right in the epicenter of the events. The most interesting thing is that such glasses are used not only for games. For example, on advanced farms, as strange and funny as it sounds, they buy virtual reality helmets for livestock. In them, animals are shown green meadows in sunny weather. This interesting approach allows increasing the productivity of the livestock by tens of % even in rainy and grey weather. This is probably one of the funniest ways to use virtual reality glasses, and gamers are left to wait for when they will finally be able to create a helmet with full immersion into the game. Flying cars. The creation of flying cars has been a dream of humanity since ancient times. In 1726, in the famous novel by Jonathan Swift, Gulliver's Travels, flying islands that could move through the air were described. And in the 1928 science fiction novel Skylark, cars that could fly using special anti-gravity devices were shown. In general, humanity has always thought about ways to conquer the sky. And if in 1726 there was no mention of even the earliest cars, then after their appearance, science fiction writers often described their ability to fly. Today, in addition to the usual flying vehicles, the first cars capable of conquering the sky are already being created. There are many concepts that can already take off and have passed the first tests. However, the cost of such cars is very high, and we're still far from the technologies of science fiction novels, such as gravitational engines. Mostly such cars use ordinary propellers. Drones. Continuing the theme of flying machines, it's impossible not to mention machines that move without human assistance. The first flying drones were described in Ridley Scott's 1982 film Blade Runner. In it, you can see specific devices that could autonomously fly around the city. For example, the eyes, reconnaissance cameras used in police operations. And in the already mentioned novel Ender's Game, child soldiers used unmanned combat devices intended for military training programs. Right now, there is a huge number of such devices. Even cars can move without human help. And flying drones can be represented as small quadcopters used for video shooting, as well as huge combat airplanes used in military actions. They, like in Blade Runner, can be used in police operations to search for a person. Interestingly, such drones can even deliver packages to your home. In some countries, quadcopters are used for delivering small parcels by mail. It will be interesting to see how this technology progresses further. Perhaps soon we will be able to fly in planes without pilots. Facial recognition. And the idea of facial recognition as a technology is very often found in science fiction works. In our time, it is already widely used. Even in your smartphone, there are programs that recognize you from a photo. In social networks, there are special algorithms that can automatically identify your friend in a photo. And Apple smartphones even use facial recognition to unlock. The fact that this technology has become so commonplace for us is astonishing. Just recently, science fiction writers could only dream of such a thing. Perhaps one of the first to describe this technology was George Orwell in his novel 1984. In it, the government uses cameras for identification and monitoring of every person in the country. And in Philip K. Dick's story The Minority Report, robots could automatically recognize faces and establish a person's identity. George Orwell probably came closest to the truth in his novel. Right now, in every megacity in the world, there are so many cameras that it's simply impossible to avoid them. New scandals keep arising because people feel like someone is constantly watching them. Cyber attacks. At the dawn of modern computers, many problems arose, causing the first programs to often break down. Today, there are groups specifically aimed at breaking someone's system and stealing data. They are also known as hackers. These people are just ordinary thieves. Different groups have committed very loud crimes at different times. For example, lately there has been a lot of information about hacking various cryptocurrencies. And we won't even mention how often bank systems were hacked before. It's interesting to note how and when the image of hackers appeared. Back in 1966, in Isaac Asimov's story The Computer Dreams, Not Nightmares, the author described the idea of hacking computer systems long before this practice became widespread in the real world. In it, the main character discovers a way to hack computer programs and begins to actively use it. And in the modern game Watch Dogs, which appeared in 2014, probably the most recognizable image of hackers emerged. In this game, you control a protagonist who can interact with any system using any devices connected to the city's central system. For example, hack a traffic light to cause a traffic jam or turn on the ventilation system. The protagonist can do all this directly from his phone, and his image, a secretive person in a cloak, has long settled in pop culture. Underwater scientific stations. In the game Subnautica, which came out in 2014, you control a scientist conquering many planets. On one of them, his ship crashes. There's only sea and new species of living organisms around. And to survive, the researcher builds his underwater laboratory. Then, as you explore the world, you encounter other objects. Many underwater scientific stations, it turns out, were already built on this planet. But such stations were not only described in games. For example, in Jules Verne's classic novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, an underwater journey on the scientific laboratory Nautilus is described. And in Alexander Belaev's novel Amphibian Man, the underwater station Giant is described, where various ocean research takes place. Scientists have been talking about studying marine life for a very long time. Right now, the mega project called Deep Sentinel is being developed, which plans to create an underwater scientific station. It is supposed to be located at the depths where light penetrates the most. That's where most of the animals yet unknown to humanity are found. Interestingly, while humans are conquering space, the ocean, which is literally under our nose, is only 91% explored. The project is intended precisely to fill in the gaps in knowledge about underwater life. It will be interesting to see the results it brings. 3D printing. Another development that first appeared in films and series is 3D printers. For example, in the Star Trek and Star Wars films, the use of technologies resembling 3D printing can be seen. However, these descriptions are often abstract and do not quite correspond to modern developments. In the previously mentioned Iron Man film, there was also a kind of printer that created the protagonist's high-tech suit. Today, 3D printing is not as advanced as predicted in the film. However, it is already widely used in various areas of society's life. 3D printers are used even in medicine. They are excellent at creating exact copies of organs, making it easy to train students. And in industry, such devices are used to create precise visualizations of designed items. The accuracy of these printers is very high, which is why they're extremely popular. Implants. Have you heard about the sensational game from the Polish company CD Projekt? Yes, we're talking about the famous Cyberpunk 2077. In this game, you enter a future world with flying cars, neural networks, artificial intelligence, all possible scanners, and of course implants. And we're not just talking about cybernetic arms. We mean full-fledged brain implants that open up new possibilities for humans, like connecting to email without a phone and checking messages or ordering a taxi. The first ideas for such implants appeared long before the game's release. In the 1972 novel Cyborg by American writer Martin Caidin, he predicted their appearance. However, it was more about prosthesis. In our world, implantation is also actively developing. The most famous example is the innovative implant developed in the UK, which can stop epilepsy seizures. It is presented as a thin film that is applied directly to the affected area of the brain. Needless to say how valuable this development is for humanity. And Elon Musk's company Neuralink is developing brain chips that are supposed to allow a person to control a computer with their mind. Unfortunately, this amazing development by the ingenious entrepreneur has not yet been created, but it seems that when these implants appear, they will make a real sensation. In this video, you learned about developments and technologies that science fiction writers predicted in their works that exist in our time. Thank you for watching.